All right. Well, good Sunday evening once again. Jacob Mountain back with you live here with West Michigan weather. As we have a new severe thunderstorm warning that has come down the wire now for portions of Kalamazoo and Van Buren counties in southwest Michigan. This goes until 8:45 p.m. this evening, and this is primarily for the potential of large hail up to quarter size in diameter. Again, a severe thunderstorm warning now for, we'll say, eastern portions of Van Buren County along with western portions of Kalamazoo County. And this warning goes until 8:45 p.m. this evening. We are watching this strong storm. In fact, this is a cell we were talking with you earlier when we had a severe thunderstorm warning down in northern Cass County. It did weaken for a brief period of time as it headed into southern Van Buren County, but has now flared back up as we head into eastern Van Buren County and soon into northwestern Kalamazoo County. Excuse me. Some locations in this warning include the Matawan area, Paw Paw, the the Almena area, up towards Alamo as well. And we'll go pull up the warning text here so we can get details from the National Weather Service. And okay, so once again, the National Weather Service in Grand Rapids has issued a severe thunderstorm warning. This is for northeastern portions of Van Buren County and northwestern portions of Kalamazoo County until 8:45 p.m. this evening. At 8:01 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located near the Matawan area or near Paw Paw, and it's moving off to the northeast at 25 miles per hour. Again, the primary hazard with this is quarter-size hail, which could cause damage to potentially damage to vehicles, stuff like that. It's cause some shingle damage, stuff like that. So, again, some locations impacted by the storm include the Paw Paw area, especially the east side of Paw. If you're just east of Paw Paw, especially you're getting the brunt of this storm right now. Also, the Matawan area up towards the Alamo area, Pine Grove, the Gobbles area, Kendall, and Cooper. If you are in any of the areas I just mentioned, for your protection, move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a building. Stay away from windows as well. Taking a look at radar here, we have the reflectivity up, and you can see the hail core just east of the Paw Paw area. In fact, it is heading right over the Interstate 94 corridor as we speak. So, and here's one thing I am going to have to mention right now. If you are along Interstate 94 and you get caught in this, do not stop under overpasses. That's just going to cause a traffic backup and it's just going to cause more issues than there's already is going on. So just don't stop under overpasses. If you're caught up in it, your best bet's just pull over and wait it out, but not under the overpasses, and don't block the roadway. But again, if you don't have to be out right now, I would not advise travel along Interstate 94 between Paw Paw and, we'll say, east of Matawan. We'll say, yeah, so between Matawan and Paw Paw, just don't drive on Interstate 94 right now. Same with M43 as well in the severe thunderstorm warning. Your best bet is just going to stay indoors for a while, let this thing pass through. Aaron from YouTube is asking, is this heading to Kalamazoo? Yes. Well, I mean, you can certainly get some downpours in Kalamazoo. I do think in current trajectory, I think the strongest part of this storm will be passing off to the west of Kalamazoo. But yeah, you could definitely see some downpours, potentially some lightning. And we'll have to see how this storm tracks as it continues to move off to the northeast. I do think at this point the strongest part of this particular cell. We have Jonah starting to join us now. Welcome back, Jonah. All right, let me get you Alright. There we go. They should be able to hear you now. So,
Perfect.
and let me get you back in here. Okay, there we go. So, again, we're just discussing this severe thunderstorm warning that is now in effect for northeastern Van Buren County and northwestern portions of Kalamazoo County. Again, this goes until 8:45 so p.m. this evening. And we'll go to Hail Tracker actually real quick. And yeah, that could definitely
Yeah,
there's that hail core right there near the Almena
that'll do
area.
it.
Yep, just northwest of Mattawan, near the Almeda area. That'll be heading towards the Almo area, especially over the next several minutes as well. So, again, at least the potential for quarter size hail per the severe thunderstorm warning. You will see the wind is less than 50 miles per hour with this warning. That does not mean there won't be gusty winds. It's just that, at least at this point, they look to be sub-severe. In fact, we'll go back over, click and then go to velocity as a matter of fact. And yeah, there's still maybe some gusty winds with that. Northeast of the Almeda area, kind of near M43 there.
I will say those are the highest winds I've seen indicated by radar all night, but
Still only like 40 at tops,
yep. But
so
yeah, getting up towards 65 dBz there now, just to the east of Albina.
yeah. So that'll be towards Doherty's Corners there as well, that little community there, over in the next few minutes. And then eventually towards the Alamo area as well. The storm. Is it moving again? Yeah. Moving to the northeast at 25, so 25 miles per hour, which has been the general theme. And it looks like according to the 809 scan, still over 60 dBz with a few pixels at least, so still wouldn't be ruling out hail with that. That's just the thing with this storm, because it flared up initially down in Cass County, then it looked like at least it wanted to scale back down a little bit as it headed into Summer Van Buren, but then there you go, it comes back. So, and actually, looks like starting to see a little outflow boundary potentially with that now. Just looking at reflectivity here, looks like some outflow potentially now. Animate that. Yeah, potentially an outflow boundary coming off of this storm now. So you're in Pine Grove and Alamo. If this outflow boundary begins to start to become evident here, there is a potential you might see the wind pick up first, and then the rain and potentially hail will be coming just a little bit behind it. But again, the outflow boundary starting to become evident on radar here with this storm. I will say this, that as the outflow boundary, if it gets too far from these storms, the the, the cooler air rushing out from the storm will cut it off and it'll start to weaken it with time. We'll have to see what that does over the next several minutes. We are watching another cell there in northern Kalamazoo County, another cell we've been watching near the Richland area. Not as significant as our current severe warning storm, but nonetheless some heavy downpours and probably some frequent lightning there near the Richland area. As that lifts off to the, that's actually moving a little bit more easterly there. We'll have to watch what this does as well, because we have this storm, we have this cell moving northeast, this cell moving east. I do think we might have to watch potentially the Kalamazoo Parchment areas. If we might have a little bit of a merger potentially going on down the line. We'll see what it does. But and we're also watching some additional storms, and I'll go over to northern Indiana radar for that. The hail core is also evident there on northern Indiana's radar as well. And we're also watching some other cells near the Van Buren and Cass County lines, near the Keeler area. Decatur again, as well as seeing some additional shower and thunderstorm activity. A few more showers down near that Niles area, some heavier downpours. And we are continuing to watch this other stronger storm, still in northern Indiana right now, and it's not, well, it's kind of still holding its own there. We will have to watch the state line area, especially in the far southeastern Cass and potentially southern St. Joseph counties down the line. This storm is not severe. There's a special weather statement continues for a few minutes. For the next 14 minutes, this special weather statement. We'll have to keep an eye on this cell as well. But we'll go back to Grand Rapids radar, go back to our severe thunderstorm warning, which continues for northeastern Van Buren County and northwestern Kalamazoo County for the next few minutes. Okay. Jonah, do you have anything you want to add in here? Doesn't look like we can hear you, Jonah, if you're talking.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yep, there you go. We're good.
Okay. There we go. No, just what you were saying, we are watching that outflow boundary. As that starts to get going, you could see some activities possibly pop off in front of that, off to the north near Bloomingdale and the Allegan County line. But beyond that, just gusty winds along that outflow boundary ahead of the rain. Reflectivity did get a little bit messier. It didn't really weaken at all, but it did get a little bit messier with this last scan. But we'll continue to watch this at least for the next couple of minutes. That severe thunderstorm warning isn't effective until 8:45 unless I cancel that earlier. So
yeah, that goes a little less than a half hour now. So,
and of course, as I say that, starting to see 65, 66, 67 DBZ with this later reflectivity scan as of 8:16. So that's fantastic.
all right. Here's another product I could show you here. Showed you this earlier as well. Correlation coefficient. You'll see as I pop it in here, it's called debris tracker, but it's not just used for debris. We could use it for other uses as well. And you can see where the colors are a little bit different here, west of the Doherty's Corners community. You can see where the colors are kind of a little bit messy. Because all this darkish red, kind of purplish color, we'll call it. This is all uniform. This is generally rainfall. The radar kind of all agrees on what is in there. Where the colors get a little bit different here, these yellows, kind of these a little bit of greenish colors there too. That is where the radar, the objects being detected by the radar is a little bit different. In this case, that would be the potential for hail. But again, this product called correlation coefficient, we call it debris tracker, it's another popular usage for this, especially when we have tornado warnings. We use this to check for tornadic debris being lofted from a potential tornado. But in this case, we're using it to show us some hail potential, which, at least according to this radar scan, is northwest of the Doherty's Corners area. They'll be heading towards the Alamo area over the next several minutes. Current storm trajectory. We'll go back to reflect.
Really well indicated on the IWX radar. It looks like they did update that severe thunderstorm warning. Severe thunderstorm warning continues for Kalamazoo and Van Buren until 8:45 for 1-inch hail. They just trimmed it off a little bit.
Yeah. In fact, I will say this kind of dark bluish color, kind of grayish color sticking out from the top of the storm here. This is from the northern Indiana radar. This is another signature we watch for in large hail. That's called a TBSS, free body scatter spike. A little bit weaker there, but still there on this latest scan coming in now. More evident on the yeah, near the Alamo area. This is generally a sign of large hail potentially being in the storm. But again, this is looking a little bit higher up, or yeah, a little bit higher up from the northern Indiana radar in Grand Rapids. It's also an angle thing because the northern Indiana radar is looking at it from the south, Grand Rapids looking at it from the north. So we'll go back to reflectivity here. I will say the hail core's gotten a little bit smaller again, but it's still seeing about a 65 DBZ pixel in there. So Alamo, if you are those of you in the Alamo area, if anyone there is watching, you got the potential for quarter-size hail and probably some gusty winds. Not severe, at least according to the warning, but still some gusty winds and some hail potential moving in over the next several minutes. Outside of the heavy rainfall and frequent cloud ground lightning. This Richland cell, notice that a few 60 DBZ pixels as well. So, but again, as I was pointing out earlier, as I animate this storm's moving a little bit more off to the east. This cell with the severe warnings moving northeast. So I would not. It's looking like it might already be starting to happen. Potentially a merger down the line as well. Kind of over to Kalamazoo towards the Parchment areas. That's we'll have to watch for that over the next several minutes. See what that does. Sometimes that storm can kind of get the storms to strengthen. Other times it can kind of storms to get messy and weaken. It just depends on how the mergers go. But something we'll be watching over the next little while as well. Let's see. Let's go south. Okay. That special weather staying down south. That's all that was. But okay. So we can look at velocity again, actually, really quickly. We are still showing gusty wind potential. Again, likely under severe limits, but I am seeing 40 to 45 mile per hour wind gusts being indicated southwest of the Alamo area. Again, this is also a couple thousand feet up, like 2,000 to 3,000 feet. But just goes to show you that, especially as the hail core eventually collapses on itself, that could push the gusty winds down to the surface as well. So just something to keep in mind. Along with the hail, some gusty wind potential, especially in the Alamo area over the next several minutes. So for those of you in northeastern Van Buren County, in northwestern Kalamazoo County, especially in the Paw Paw and Mattawan areas, and then further up the line up towards Alamo or anywhere in between, if you have seen hail or anything of that nature and you want to send along those reports to us, first of all, do it safely. Don't go out in the middle of this thunderstorm trying to get hail to submit to us for the report or something like that. Don't want you to put yourself in danger. But after the fact, after things have calmed down, if you do have hail reports to send along to us, you can feel free to do that on our social media pages. We are watching social media chat as well, or on our website at www.westmichiganweather.net/report. In fact, I will be dropping that link in the chat as well over in momentarily. So once that link drops in the chat, you'll be able to submit those reports to us as well through that website link, through that form there. All those sources go directly to us, and we'll be able to get your report and pass that along to our friends at the National Weather Service if need be. So I'm dropping the link in the chat now. So that's again www.westmichiganweather.net/report. Submit those storm reports to us if you can do so safely. So back to radar. We're still seeing that potential, that hail core kind of between the Doherty's Corners and Alamo area. In fact, newest scan just came in north of the Doherty's Corners community. That'll be heading still on track to head potentially into Alamo over the next few minutes. We'll actually do a cross section of this storm. Let me zoom it out a little bit. Zoom it out a little bit so it's a little more visible for you. But see, we're still being lofted. So it's a little bit noisy here, but I am seeing hail potentially being lofted to maybe 15,000 feet, depending on how you look at it from the radar. Let me do it from another radar too, just to make sure. That one's a little bit weaker, but still it is being lofted up to, we'll say, 15,000 feet. Looking at it on radar here, this radar cross section. That is the as kind of the pinks into the reds being wafted there. So again, still a relatively strong storm, but as this collapses with time, which is it looks like it's one of those days where it'll kind of collapse and kind of come back at least for the next few hours. That's a trend we've been seeing at least with this particular cell. However, as we get into later into the evening, especially, we'll lose the instability we gained during the day, and it'll just kind of settle down, kind of similar to what we had last night, unexpectedly for a little bit. So,
The cell near Richland and Gull Lake there has calmed down a little bit, not significantly by any means, but some of those velocity signatures I was watching in that storm have gotten a little bit messier. The reflectivity core is messier, and that has weakened by a couple of decibels just over the last couple of scans. So that's good
right.
news there.
And yeah, so that's just kind of the story of these storms today. They'll pulse down, and then they might pulse back up. But I think by later this evening, it'll just kind of stabilize into non-severe storms with some heavier rainfall potentially with time. Taking a
Storm
look,
down along 131, and the state line there is weakening as well on the border of St. Joseph County there, St. Joseph and Cass County. That is weakening as well.
so yeah, those are not looking like much more than heavy rainmakers at this time. There's still some lightning, but nothing of particular significance with that. Just checking velocity to make sure we're not missing anything. And yeah, nothing really there. That's concerning. So, and this storm we've been watching doesn't look like the at this point we're not extending the statement on it. So, yeah, that even that
Jacob, but sorry, go ahead, finish your thought.
I was saying, the velocity signature on the storm we were watching near the state line, that's weakened significantly too. Not really seeing anything there. So those of you near
Yeah,
the state line, this storm is kind of turning into the same thing. More heavy rain and lightning. All right, we do have an update coming into our severe thunderstorm warning now. For those of you in Van Buren County, the warning has been dropped for northeastern Van Buren County. And so that leaves northwestern portions of Kalamazoo County, pretty much the Alamo area. The severe thunderstorm warning continues for the next around 15 minutes or so. I'm sorry, Jonah, did you want to mention something?
Oh, you're good. I was just saying, if you loop our reflectivity product on this Kalamazoo County storm, you can really see it's starting to fall apart. In fact, this latest scan almost entirely removes anything above 60 dBz, so that is good news as well for the folks in Alamo as this storm moves towards your way.
Yeah, and you can see the outflow boundary starting to get more ahead of it as well. So
Yeah, it's really
that
surging out.
as that surges out like that, the cool air gets out ahead of it. Now, in fact, I think we just lost all 60 dBz in that newest scan just now. Yeah. Well, actually, 60 dBz
Yeah,
pixel, at least according to
one
weather.
pixel is what I could find.
Yeah. So, but however, I am watching this Richland cell. That's still kind of holding. And what I was talking about earlier, it's kind of merging in on itself now. This cell that was
Yeah,
moving northeast, and this cell that was moving more easterly. Now it's kind of merging into itself. So if you're in
yeah.
Kalamazoo, Parchment, you're probably seeing some heavier downpours right now and some lightning. Nothing severe of this portion of the storm right now. I'll double check that near Richland.
Yeah, if you're up near Richland, we're starting to see some of that hail tracker product pick back up on perhaps a hail core
And
in there in that Richland storm.
I'm looking at velocity actually real quick because
Yep.
this is a little bit of an interesting signature there near Richland. One of
Oh, I do
velocity.
see that there as well. Yeah.
Nothing. I don't see anything significant with that at this point, but
No.
just something to note. So,
Yeah, I do see what you're talking about there.
because sometimes as these storms merge into each other, depending on how they merge, that can kind of spark a little bit of rotation too. Again, nothing significant with that. I'm not expecting a tornado at this point or anything out of it, but just something to point out as I was just noticing here on radar. Go back to reflectivity. So very weak rotation at the very worst with that. I don't really expect anything significant out of it, but we'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
But, but if anything, as Jonah was indicating, we'll go to Hail Tracker. And yeah, that's starting to pick up too. So
Yep. Latest scan on that hail tracker drops all of my concern for large hail off of that Alamo storm, and reflectivity, and still find 1 pixel of 60 in there, but everything's getting much closer to that 50 dBz mark there for Alamo. So Richland is kind of becoming more of my focus
right.
at this point.
Yeah, this is really the main cell. And that'll come back momentarily. That live scan does the. Okay, yeah, that Richland cell near Gold Lake, that's starting to pick up a little bit. So
Yep, definitely.
we'll have to see what the Weather Service decides to do with that here in the short term. So,
A little bit of a reflectivity hook there, maybe too, trying to come around.
yep, here, Richland, yep, I see that. Let's go to
Maybe.
velocity. I don't think it's quite updated yet. I'll come around momentarily.
The latest scan I have for velocity is from
Okay, yep, there it goes now.
minutes ago. There we go.
And still, if anything, very broad rotation.
Yeah, very
Nothing
weak.
weak rotation. Nothing concerning at this point, at least from radar. But from a radar standpoint, but there's something we are watching because yeah, as these storms merge into each other like this, that can sometimes cause them to spin up a little bit, which we're starting to see there, just a little bit. But I think our main concern with this one is increasing hail potential over the next little bit. Near the Richland area towards Gold Lake, over towards the Midland and Highland Park areas as well. And as that continues to move slowly off to the east, it looks like, still as of right now. So mainly Midland Park and Gold Lake, you're going to be in line. Still the Richland areas, some increasing hail potential is with this storm as well. In addition to heavy rainfall and frequent lightning. We'll take one more look at velocity and I say that, and it looks like we do have just a few. We do have a purplish pink pixel back there, 60.5. I'm still only seeing a couple of those. So
Back
Alamo,
near Alamo, you're talking?
yeah,
Yeah,
still nothing. Still not as intense as it was earlier. So
no.
that's good news. Take a look at velocity actually, and even the velocity is scaled back a little bit from what it was earlier. Not that it was really all that intense in the first place, but still seeing, let's say, 30 to 35 mile per hour velocities. And you can still see the outflow boundary kind of. I will say you can see how it surged out here. Then, well, now we have 62 dBz, we'll say. So, near the Alamo area, still only a couple pixels. But over towards the Gold Lake Richland cell, that I have a 67 dBz near Gold Lake there. So, definitely the Richland cell, I think, is the more intense of the two right now. So
Yeah, we'll just have to see what updraft eventually becomes.
dominant, we'll say. So
Exactly, yep. A little bit of a CC drop starting there, just near Richland and Gull Lake as well.
I see that as well.
Not associated with any kind of tornadic activity. We're
Yeah,
just looking
no,
at that product for hail again. I know we were talking about broad rotation a little bit, but I'm not seeing any definitive ball of debris, is what we call it.
yeah,
It's
no,
much more
yeah.
centered on the hail core. So,
Center on the hail core, and yeah. So again, we're not looking at it for tornado debris purposes today. This is mainly for hail tracking. I'll take a look at it from the southern perspective there from northern Indiana. That hail core is evident there too. Go to CC. A little bit more noisy, but it's kind of evident there too, I would figure. Obviously, a little bit more noisy given its further in the radar. And it's still higher up, potentially near the Alamo area, maybe some hail as well, just on the higher up scan from the southern perspective, from the Grand Rapids perspective. And still maybe some hail there near the Alamo area. Still seeing some indications in the correlation coefficient product. Maybe still some hail potential there, but
Yeah, our hail tracker is starting to pick back up on that area as well.
yeah. Well, that's just been the story with these storms today. They pulse up, pulse down a little bit, pulse back up a little bit. So
Latest scan for reflectivity pulses the entire storm down from Richland to Parchment back to Alamo.
it's starting to merge into each other, and honestly, just I think with time become a little bit more messy in nature. But
Yeah, these are already pretty messy.
this was this was never really expected to be a severe weather day, and we don't anticipate that. But I will say this cell near Decatur, I am starting to see some higher DBZs up there, like 62, 63 southwest of Decatur. So
Yeah,
watch that for hail potential as well. We'll go to hail tracker on that real quick. Uh, Mind these scans are a little bit delayed, but nothing too concerning in there. Maybe some small hail. Southwest there of Decatur. This is the 828 radar scan for the hail tracker there. So go back to reflectivity. So maybe some small hail potential near Decatur. Take a look at the velocity and maybe some gusty winds there as well. Nothing concerning in terms of tornado potential at this time. In fact, the ingredients really aren't there today for tornadic potential, but some gusty winds, maybe some small hail becoming possible with that cell near Decatur as well in southern Van Buren County once again. So, let me see if we have anything new coming in here. See anything new from the Weather Service? Actually, as I say that, this is at 8:02. This is from earlier. 7/10 of a diameter hail report 2 miles east northeast of Paw Paw in Van Buren County. This is at 8:02, so this is from the earlier storm, but just under 3/4 of an inch hail report with that one. So it was a little bit earlier. So we'll have to see over the next few minutes. This warning expires in the next few minutes for northwestern Kalamazoo County. We'll have to see what they decide to do with the storm, with this cell as it moves into. It's still on track for southeastern Allegan County as well. So we'll have to see what the Weather Service there in Grand Rapids decide to do with that. And we're also thinking they're keeping an eye on that Richland Gull Lake cell, where we're still showing a little bit of a hail core there. So we're showing a hail core there approaching 65 dBz on the top end. And we'll do a little slice of this section. Yeah, that's starting to get up towards get lofted up there, almost 15,000 feet as well for hail potential there. Actually, looking at it from a cross section perspective. I'm going to take a cross section of this one as well. This one's not looking like it's impressive there either as it was earlier, so get a cross section now. And we're still waiting word from the Weather Service on what they're going to do with this warning. I don't Whether they continue it into Allegan County or not, or put a statement out. We'll be seeing that here momentarily, or they just don't to do anything up there. We'll see here in the next couple of minutes. So, Jonah, you have anything you want to input here?
No, we're just seeing this storm pulse over and over again, right? We've been talking about how it ramps up and ramps back down pretty quickly. Um, the thing that's giving me comfort is that we're only seeing hail that is sub-severe. So we're seeing hail reports come in under 1 inch, which means that the potential for damage from these storms is a little bit more limited. Of course, that smaller hail can sometimes cause some damage, and we definitely want to know about it if you're seeing that hail. But until it starts to get to that quarter size in diameter, we don't really have a lot of concerns for large amounts of property damage. So that's good news. Um, we've seen that pretty consistently over the last couple of hours as we've been watching these storms hail under 1 inch in diameter being reported. Um, so there's definitely hail in these storms, but thankfully it's remaining sub-severe. And like we said in our last stream, with our earlier severe thunderstorm warning for Cass County, as we lose heating, now that the sun has gone down and experience the effects of diurnal cooling, we will lose some of that instability or storm fuel, what we call storm fuel, and these storms will start to become messy and collapse on themselves. And I really think that's what we're starting to see here with this Kalamazoo County storm.
Yep, I agree with that. Again, as just mentioned, the sun's setting. That's all right. And it looks like they're
Yep,
letting the
it looks
count.
like we're going to expire it. Yeah.
Yeah, letting the severe thunderstorm warning for Kalamazoo County expire. It won't drop off our screen here until the expiration time in 3 minutes, but we are letting this expire at 8:45. Storm which prompted the warning has weakened below severe limits, therefore the warning will be allowed to expire. And even the Richland activity we've been watching, that's starting to become messy too. So we'll say, oh, I'm looking at it. There's a cell that recently kind of flared up offshore of Benton Harbor, towards Shoreham area, offshore over Lake Michigan. That is something we'll have to monitor a little bit as that moves on shore over the next little while. It's coming off slowly to the east, so just something else we'll be watching over time as it moves on shore. But with time, I do expect this again to become more messy in nature. Not really severe, just more heavy rainmakers at this point.
Maybe if I stay at my desk this time, we won't get another severe thunderstorm warning.
Yeah, there you go. How about we just stay live for the next few hours?
Yeah, then we'll be good. But
Yeah.
the minute we turn the live stream off and go do something else, we'll get another warning.
Yeah.
How many live streams can we have in one day? I
Right.
think.
Set a new record, can't we?
Yep.
All right. So take a look at this Richland cell again. Let's say this: the weak rotation. Well, still not tight by any means, but it's just a little bit more of a velocity signature. Southeast of
Yeah.
Richland over towards Gold Lake, but that's very, very broad. Still not concerning by
Yeah.
any stretch, but
Honestly, that's starting to look more like maybe a downburst outflow
yeah,
type of signature to
yeah,
me. It's surging out ahead of that reflectivity.
yeah, that's true too. Yeah, so it's not
So,
never really was rotation. Well, maybe very weak, but now it's starting. I agree, it's more downbursty type situation. So maybe some gusty winds a little bit there near the Richland area, but nothing. Still nothing extremely concerning. And yeah, even the DBZ is coming back down on that.
yep, hail tracker and correlation coefficient are becoming less concerning as well.
Yep, as this warning expires in the next pretty much right now. That's actually so. All right. So as that warning expires and comes off the screen, um, just taking a look at the overall situation, we continue with these thunderstorms. mainly across southwest lower at this point. And so you can see the outflow boundary surging out ahead of it. Now this we'll have to watch as it may fire some more storm activity. Like that's already becoming evident a little bit in the southern Allegan County, actually. We're starting to see some additional shower activity start to pop up west of the Otsego area there. So as this outflow boundary surges ahead, we could see some additional development. But within the next couple of hours, really, I still think our severe threat will kind of back off as once again we start seeing the diurnal cooling effects take place, kind of stabilizes the atmosphere a little bit, and just kind of prevent these storms from getting up there in strength like we were seeing just in the last little while here.
And that severe thunderstorm warning is completely dropped off the board now.
Still watching this cell. Needs to be offshore, but we'll be moving onshore. It's starting to get up there just a little bit, so heads
I'm
up
not
for
seeing any lightning with that, so that is good news.
not yet anyway. So
Right, not yet.
but I'm already seeing a 60 DBZ pixel in there, but that does not. We'll take a look at it from the other radar too. So we'll have to keep an eye on that too down the line. But again, as we get later into the evening, we'll be starting to wind down this lower end severe threat. Just more of some heavy rain and thunder. For those of you lucky enough to see storms this evening, which so far has been south of I-96 as generally been expected. But for those of you north of I-96, I still would not rule out storm activity. I do think we should be getting the new outlook actually here in just a little bit.
In about 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, it's the 9 p.m. outlook update.
Yeah.
I will go ahead and show outlook from earlier this afternoon takeoff radar. And as you can see, the green shading, that is our marginal risk that we've had. Earlier today it was further north, but around 12:30 this afternoon they brought it south of the I-96 corridor just based on trends. And that seems to have transpired here, mainly really near and south of I-94 actually so far. But at least according to this outlook, we still, at least for the next little bit, continue with a low end severe risk south of I-96. Those of you north of I-96, you're still in a general thunderstorm risk. And while, like we saw yesterday, when we had severe thunderstorms and a general thunderstorm risk, that does not, we don't want you to take that as a absolutely zero severe thunderstorm threat, but unlikely, relatively unlikely that further north of I-96 there. Just be more general thunderstorms, just rain, lightning, stuff like that. So
We are starting to see some lightning activity on that cell offshore of Benton Harbor there.
yeah, that's starting to show up now. So, but yeah, this is starting to become disorganized. So
Yeah. The other thing about even if this stuff near Benton Harbor does start to push on shore, it's going to be competing with the ongoing showers and thunderstorms out ahead of it, and is going to be competing with the weaker environment, the less supportive environment that those storms have left in their wake. So
right, so really, as it moves on shore, it might be a little rough. Maybe as it first moves on shore, like the immediate lakeshore area, but then as it moves east, because all of these storms over here, that's already washing out what was an already limited environment, really, in the first place. So we're not going to be super concerned, especially as they head later into the evening. So, all right, what do you think, Jonah? We're going to bounce from here again, since.
sorry, I accidentally turned off my camera there. Yeah, I think that we can probably head out, and once again, if need be, we'll do a third live stream. But
yeah, so at this point, we're going to go ahead 8:50 p.m. We're gonna go ahead and close out this stream. However, as as Jonah just said, we'll still be watching behind the scenes, especially that cell near Benton Harbor. In case any of these cells kind of flare back up, we get another warning. We could do 2 live streams, we could do 3, or how many live streams are needed. So we'll be here watching behind the scenes, and we'll be back with you if necessary this evening. But again, as we head later in the evening, things should begin to settle down, at least on the severe weather front. So for Jonah Drake, this is Jacob Melton live here of West Michigan Weather. Thanks for joining us once again on this Sunday evening. And again, we'll be back with you live if conditions warrant. So thanks for tuning in here. Stay with us here at West Michigan Weather. We'll continue to keep you advised of the severe weather situation.